It's a quiet evening in Conyers, Pennsylvania, United States. Two neighboring families prepare to celebrate Thanksgiving together. Everything feels peaceful. The air is filled with holiday spirit as they get the dinner ready. Shortly after the meal, two little girls ask their parents permission to play in the street. Their parents agree, and the girls rush out onto the silent pavement. A strange RV is parked on the street. A man watches the girls play from inside the RV. Minutes later, the two girls vanish without a trace, and the RV is gone. This isn't just a regular kidnapping story, one that will unleash chaos on this small town in Pennsylvania and turn two innocent fathers into ruthless monsters.
RecapSpark.
The story begins with a man named Keller Dover and his son Ralph driving back home from a hunt. Keller advises his son to be strong and ready for disasters like hurricanes, floods, or worse. Later that day, Keller, along with his wife Grace, his son Ralph, and his young daughter Anna, heads to a neighbor's house just across the street for Thanksgiving dinner. Ralph carries a piece of the deer he had shot earlier that day. A few minutes later, they arrive and are greeted by Nancy Birch and her husband Franklin Birch.
This one's Ralph's.
While Keller and Franklin prepare the dining area, Anna asks Keller if she can go play outside with Joy, Franklin's younger daughter. Keller tells her to ask Ralph to accompany them. Outside, Anna and Joy play on the street while Ralph and Eliza, Franklin's older daughter, watch over them from nearby. A moment later, the two girls start messing with an old RV parked by the curb. As soon as Ralph and Eliza notice, they rush over and pull them away from the vehicle. After dinner, Anna and Joy ask their parents if Anna can take Joy back to the Dovers' home to look for a whistle she misplaced. The parents agree and the girls rush off. About an hour later, Keller finds Ralph and Eliza sitting in the hall watching television and asks where their sisters are. Eliza says they haven't returned since dinner. Keller rushes home to check if they're there, but the house is empty. He goes to Anna's room, but there's no sign of them. He returns to the Birch's house and no one knows where Anna and Joy are. As panic sets in, Ralph remembers the strange RV parked on the street and suggests they might have gone back to mess with it again. Keller and Ralph run to where the RV was parked, but it's gone. That's when Keller decides to call the police. Over at a dinner, Detective Loki eats alone.
Think maybe you could influence your boss to lower the check a little bit?
Loki is a calm, observant detective with a quiet intensity. He receives a dispatch call about the suspected RV and leaves the restaurant immediately. Arriving at the scene where the RV is found, Loki walks slowly toward the vehicle to inspect it. The RV suddenly pulls away, attempting to flee, but crashes almost instantly. Loki enters and finds Alex Jones in the back of the RV. Alex is pulled from the RV at gunpoint. Loki demands he reveal the girl's location, but Alex refuses to answer. He is arrested. During interrogation, Alex remains nearly silent. Later that night, Detective Loki follows up on address records and arrives at the home of Alex's guardian, his aunt Holly Jones, where Alex occasionally stays. While there, Loki receives a report that Alex's RV contains no evidence, and nothing suspicious was found. The next day, Loki visits the Dovers' house. Grace asks if it's true he solved every case he's been assigned. Grace breaks down in tears, and Loki promises to find Anna and Joy. Keller enters and joins them. Loki informs Keller that no evidence has been found against Alex, explaining that Alex is physically disabled, has the IQ of a 10-year-old, and could never commit such an act. Keller is shocked.
I don't understand what any of this means. They said he ran.
And demands to know how that's possible. Loki's attempts to clarify only escalate Keller's frustration. Loki assures him the police are doing everything possible, and vows to fulfill his duty. As Loki prepares to leave, Keller asks if Alex can remain in custody until the girls are found. Loki explains Alex can't be held longer without formal charges. Keller insists Loki charge Alex with something to keep him detained.
Charge him with something. Charge him.
Loki makes multiple stops throughout the day and night, searching for evidence that might lead to the girls. Late that night, he arrives at Father Patrick's residence. He knocks, but no one answers the door. So he goes around the house to peer through a window and sees Father Patrick unconscious inside. Loki forces open the door and discovers Patrick is drunk. As he searches the house, he uncovers a hidden basement filled with old statues and junk. While searching the basement, he discovers a dead body tied to a chair. Loki wakes Patrick and presses him about the corpse in his basement.
He didn't tell me his name.
The next day, the search party resumes with Keller, Franklin, and Ralph joining the effort. Keller receives a call from Grace, informing him that Alex is being released from custody. Keller abandons the search and speeds to the police station. As Alex exits the building, Keller attacks him, demanding answers, until Alex suddenly whispers something strange to him.
They didn't cry until I left.
Keller is dragged into an office where Captain Richard warns him that the police will overlook his outburst if he leaves now. Keller refuses. He tells Loki that Alex whispered to him, "The girls didn't cry until I left them." Later, Loki visits Alex and Holly, asking if Alex spoke to Keller during the attack. But Alex denies it. Loki leaves and calls Keller, letting him know he's moving on from Alex as a suspect and can't afford to waste any more time. Keller returns home to comfort Grace, who completely loses it and begs Keller to bring Anna back. He gives her some medicine to calm her down, and instructs Ralph to watch his mother while he goes to assist the police. Keller then takes his truck and drives to Holly's house. He parks across the street, waiting for Alex to leave the house. When Alex eventually steps out to walk his dog, Keller ambushes him with a gun.
Alex. That's all.
The next day, Keller picks up Franklin at his house and takes him to his old home. Franklin still has no idea why he's been brought there. They go upstairs, and Keller opens a door to show him something. Alex tied to an old sink with his mouth taped shut. Franklin panics and insists they take Alex to the police, but Keller argues they have to force him to talk or their daughters will be lost forever. Keller confronts Alex, giving him one last chance to confess. Meanwhile, at the station, Loki reviews old cases of missing children. He follows a lead, visiting Mrs. Milland, whose child was abducted 26 years ago. Loki is called back to the station to speak with Father Patrick, who finally shares details about the dead body in his basement. Patrick claims the man had confessed to killing 13 children, before Patrick killed him. That evening, Keller continues interrogating Alex, who's now badly injured with blood all over his face. Alex still refuses to speak, but Keller is convinced he knows something and escalates his threats.
Tell me!
Franklin leaves the house and attends a vigil for the missing girls, trying to comfort his grieving family. Loki arrives at the vigil and notices a suspicious man placing a teddy bear among the candles. He follows as the man leaves, then takes off running when the guy suddenly bolts. Loki chases him, only to be ambushed from a tree. The man escapes into traffic near a busy road. The next day, Franklin and Keller return to the old house, where they're still holding Alex hostage, determined to interrogate him again. Keller suspects Alex might know the man Loki chased during the vigil. Meanwhile, Loki informs Captain Richard that Alex's aunt called to report Alex never returned home after walking his dog several nights earlier. He questions why Alex wasn't under surveillance and demands to know the whereabouts of everyone involved. Loki rewatches his earlier interrogation of Alex, hoping to catch something he missed. He then receives a call and heads to a shopping center to meet a witness about the man who attacked him. Back at the abandoned house, Keller tells Franklin they're running out of time and must get answers from Alex immediately. Franklin returns home, where Nancy questions his whereabouts. He confesses everything that he and Keller have done to Alex. Shortly after, Nancy confronts Keller over kidnapping Alex and demands to see him. They take her to Alex, and Nancy pleads with him to help find her daughter. She unties him, but Alex suddenly attacks her and tries to escape. Keller shows Franklin and Nancy his new method of getting information from Alex. Franklin insists Keller has no proof Alex is guilty and begs him to stop, but Keller refuses. He hands Franklin the hammer and walks away. Franklin tries to smash the box to free Alex, but Nancy stops him, pleading with him to think of their daughter. After a moment of hesitation, they both leave. Meanwhile, the man who attacked Loki at the vigil sneaks into Franklin's home. Moments later, Nancy and Franklin return, startling the intruder, who flees into Keller's house. Grace hears footsteps upstairs and waits, thinking it might be Anna. The man escapes through a window. Loki is called over, and Grace explains what happened. She asks him to write it down, so he takes out his little notebook and begins to jot down what she's saying. She then leads him to the basement to inspect the place. In the basement, Loki senses something off and starts questioning Keller's absence. Grace insists Keller has been helping the police, but Loki is growing suspicious of Keller's role in Alex's disappearance. The next day, Loki tells Keller and follows him around town until Keller notices and confronts him. Keller climbs into his car, and Loki demands to know where he's going. Keller lies, saying he's just out shopping. Loki accuses him of lying about helping the police, and reveals that Alex is missing. Keller claims Alex ran off, racked with guilt. He starts to lose his temper, shouting at Loki to stop following him and focus on finding Anna instead. Keller storms off and walks home to sleep. Keller returns to Alex and continues torturing him, desperate for new information. But Alex still gives him nothing useful. While Keller is with Alex, Loki arrives at the abandoned house where the torture has been happening. Keller rushes to hide. Loki manages to get inside through a window. As he enters, he finds Keller lying on the floor pretending to be drunk. Keller tells Loki he just came there to drink because he doesn't want to do it in front of his family. Loki asks him to show him around the house. Keller agrees and takes him upstairs. Loki spots the large wooden box where Alex is tied up inside. As he moves in to inspect it, he suddenly gets a call about the location of the man he chased at the vigil. Loki immediately rushes off, leaving Keller behind. He arrives at the man's home and knocks on the door. The guy answers, clearly nervous. Loki asks why he ran from him at the vigil. The man denies ever seeing him and panics. He tries to flee, but Loki tackles him and handcuffs him. Loki then begins to search the home, calling for backup as he moves through the rooms. He breaks into a room filled with crates. He decides to open one of the crates to see what's inside. Loki continues to open all the other crates, and they are all filled with dangerous snakes and blood-stained children's clothes. Finally, he opens the last crate and discovers a book full of handy-drawn mazes. He grabs it and leaves. Later, Loki invites Keller and the Birches to the station to identify clothing recovered from the crates. Nancy and Franklin recognize Joy's clothes and break down in tears. Keller comes in next to review the photos. Loki begins showing him the photos. One by one, Keller identifies Anna's sock and breaks into tears. He blames Loki for wasting time tailing him instead of saving his daughter. Back at home, news reporters arrive outside the Dover's house. Keller tells Ralph not to speak to them, but Ralph pushes back, saying Eliza told him the girls are dead and that the police found their bloody clothing. Keller insists it isn't true and warns Ralph not to tell his mother. Meanwhile, Loki watches the new suspect studying the maze book from the crates. Frustrated, Loki enters the interrogation room and demands answers about the drawings. The suspect still isn't saying anything. Loki snaps and attacks him. Officers rush in to restrain Loki, but in the struggle, the suspect grabs a weapon. Declaring he'll never talk, he shoots himself in the head. Back at the abandoned house, Keller prays for forgiveness. He confesses to Alex that he doesn't know what to do anymore, but still believes Alex knows something. Just as Keller is on the verge of giving up, Alex finally says something. He tells Keller, "You'll find them in the maze."
Just tell me where the maze is, okay?
Later that day, Keller visits Alex's aunt to apologize for attacking Alex at the station. She invites him in for a drink. While they talk, Keller notices a newspaper headline about the dead suspect in his mazes. Elsewhere, Captain Richard tries to comfort Loki, reminding him that he did everything he could. But Loki breaks down in frustration, scattering papers across his desk. Suddenly, he sees something, a photo, nearly identical to the maze the dead suspect had drawn. Loki quickly grabs the suspect's sketch, compares it, and realizes they're the same. Just then, he gets a call from another officer and rushes to the suspect's home. When he arrives, officers show him new evidence. 2 child-sized mannequins buried in the backyard. He's told that most of the evidence is fake. The blood on the girl's clothes is pig's blood, and all the mazes are copied from a book found in the house. Everything looks staged. Loki, stunned, insists there must be a connection and demands, how did he get Anna and Joy's clothes? Loki suddenly remembers the time Grace called him over after the suspected break-in at her home. Loki rushes back to the Dover's home and inspects the area behind the window where Grace said the intruder escaped. Searching carefully, he finds the other half of Anna's blood-stained sock, the matching one to the sock found in the crates at the dead suspect's house. Loki realizes the suspect must have stolen them after the girls vanished, proving the evidence at his house was staged and that the girls may still be alive. While sleeping, Grace receives a call from the police that Joy has been found and taken to the hospital. Minutes later, Keller arrives home, and Grace rushes out to tell him Joy has been found, but Anna is still missing.
They found Joy, but not Anna. They didn't find Anna.
They hurry to the hospital and find Franklin and Nancy at Joy's bedside. Keller tries to question Joy about Anna's whereabouts, but a nurse stops him, insisting they wait until she's fully awake. Suddenly, Joy regains consciousness and begins recounting the events that led to her escape. Shockingly, Joy says Keller was there where they were taken.
You live here?
Who's where?
Keller freezes and begins to panic. In that moment, he finally realizes who the true kidnapper is. Without saying a word, he rushes out of the room and races off. Loki arrives at the hospital at that moment and sees Keller racing off. Keller speeds through the streets, and Loki follows him. Loki assumes Keller is heading to the abandoned house, but Keller is actually going somewhere else. Loki arrives at the house and finds no one until he hears Alex screaming in pain upstairs. Loki draws his weapon and charges inside. He searches the building until he finds Alex still trapped inside the box. Meanwhile, Keller arrives at Holly's house, Alex's aunt, and knocks on the door. When Holly answers, she asks why he's there. Keller says he just wanted to help fix a few things around the house, as an apology for everything. Holly reminds him that he already came by to apologize a few days ago, so why come again? Keller insists he just wants to help, then Holly lets him in. This is where things take a dark turn. As soon as Keller steps inside, he tells Holly he knows everything now, that she's the one who kidnapped Anna and Joy. Keller gently asks her to bring Anna out, insisting he doesn't want to hurt her. Holly pulls out a gun and points it at Keller, forcing him into submission. She makes him put on handcuffs, and orders him to drink a sedative if he wants to see his daughter. Keller's phone starts ringing, but Holly tells him to toss it into the garbage disposal along with his keys. Still holding him at gunpoint, she takes him outside and begins to confess everything. She admits to kidnapping multiple children with her late husband, starting with Alex, whose real name is Jimmy. She forces Keller into an old car parked in front of her house. Holly calls the kidnappings a war against God, meant to turn people into monsters. She orders Keller to start the car and reverse slowly. Then she asks him to slowly step outside the car. Holly continues, saying Alex never harmed Anna or Joy, that she took them herself. She leads him to a hole in the ground and tells him to climb in. When Keller refuses, she shoots him in the leg, forcing him to climb down. Meanwhile, Loki is told to notify Holly that the police have found Alex. Back in the hole, Keller manages to turn on his tiny flashlight and begins searching for a way out. He struggles through the darkness and finds Anna's whistle. Loki arrives at Holly's house. As he knocks, Holly rushes to the basement where she's hiding Anna. Loki enters the house and hears movement inside. He starts checking every room. In Holly's bedroom, he spots a photo of her late husband wearing the same necklace found on the corpse in Father Patrick's basement. He hears another noise and immediately pulls out his gun to check who's there. He bursts in just as Holly is injecting Anna with poison. Holly quickly reaches for her gun and tries to shoot Loki. Loki rushes to check on Anna. He speeds down the highway with his face covered in blood. He manages to get Anna into the emergency room.
Help! No! Help! Help!
Later, Keller remains missing in the hole, and Loki is still at the hospital recovering from his injuries. Grace visits him with Anna, Nancy, and Joy to thank him for saving Anna's life. Grace tells Loki that Keller hasn't contacted her, and she still has no idea where he might be. She breaks down in tears, saying she misses her husband and believes he did what he had to do to find Anna. Days later, Loki is out of the hospital and returns to Holly's house. As Loki watches the investigators leave, he hears a faint whistle. He pauses, unsure of what he just heard. Just as he's about to leave, The whistle blows again.